Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Sunday morning. Gonna get straight into it because it does look like rain. Before I start talking about the Summer Wells case, just let me say that there was a search for Aidan Clune, who is missing in the mountains outside of Curry in Nevada. Not heard that search has revealed anything at the moment. Also, I believe EquiSearch was in Lucin, Utah and surrounding areas looking for Dylan Rounds yesterday. Again, I haven't heard that the search has revealed anything. Just let me say that there is some fake news going around Twitter at the moment that Dylan Rounds' body's been found. There's absolutely no confirmation from any official sources. If you click on this fake news, it really does look like fake news. No idea. People just putting stuff on for clicks, I guess. So, no news on either of those cases. Speaking of fake news, there's been some palaver in the Summer Wells case. There was a call released. Shame on the people who have released this call, right? I don't know what else to tell you other than why did anybody release this call? I've heard the call. I'm not going to play the call or any parts of the call. All I'm going to say is that it's nonsense. If you've heard the call, then let me know what you think in the comments. If you've not heard the call, then it's out there. I'm not going to publicise the channels that have put it out at all. Nah, I'm not doing that. But it's out there, guys, if you want to go and check it out. I guess that's your prerogative. So, allegedly, you know, this information has come from, like, what, a third-hand source, a fourth-hand source, like the brother of somebody's blah, 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 and somebody's partner and co-worker and blah, blah, blah. It's all just hearsay. But worse than that, the story that's allegedly come out from this social worker is that one of the Wells boys, Summer's brothers, is utterly traumatised, and he was abducted with Summer and he got away, and then he witnessed Summer being killed. Ridiculous, right? Look at this with some kind of common sense. We saw pictures of the Wells boys during that first search. We saw pictures of the Wells boys with David Dotson playing putt-putt golf. Did any of them look traumatised to the point where they'd witnessed their sister being murdered? No. Do you think we'd still have absolutely no idea what happened to Summer if that had really happened? Because that boy would be a witness. They would know that Summer was dead and there was an abduction. They'd have had a direction to go in from day one, or at least from when that boy was able to speak about it. Now, I know you might say, Michelle, there's such a thing as, you know, being in denial and blocking things out and delayed trauma. I know all that. I know all that. But we're a year down the line now. Right, so, no. And this call was turned in to the TBI and the FBI, I don't know how many months ago. So why this has now come out on YouTube beggars belief. It's been investigated, presumably anyway. So chalk that one up to another disgraceful display of fake news, in my opinion, allegedly, of course. You know, when Leslie Earhart from the TBI said on June 15th, 4 days ago, that social media has not been helpful, I think this is the kind of thing that she's talking about. Do you think? I think so. Now, in yesterday's video, I talked about a live stream that was ongoing as I was recording yesterday's video between Scott H and Ziggy. They talked about some things that have come up after Ziggy's visit to Tennessee for the vigils, and she's had another lengthy conversation with Fred Hill. She's playing the call now as we speak. She's playing the call, so I've yet to listen to more than about, 15-20 minutes of it. But in conversation with Fred Hill, she said that him and his wife have doubled down on the things that they said. She said the things that they came out with are consistent with what they said when she spoke to them back in January. I believe she said she spoke to Fred Hill for 5 hours. So if she's going to play the entire conversation, then that's going to take some listening, because Ziggy commentates as well throughout the call. So I guess that's what I'll be doing today. I dismissed him in January as a prankster, as a joker, and he's doubling down on the things he said. Does that make them true? No. I think it does make us sit up and take notice, because he was there. He was there on Ben Hill Road on June 15th. He gets all cars, breaks them, sells parts, that kind of thing. That's his job, that's what he does. That's why he's got loads of cars out there on his property. Fred was out there June 15th, and he hears some things, and it's strange. He says no one else has been by to talk to him, and he's ready and able to talk. He wants to talk. He's been in conversation with the feds, the TBI. He spoke to law enforcement 3 or 4 times since January. Ziggy's work here is very, very good. But I'd like someone to sit him down and actually question him with very, very targeted questions and see whether he tells someone else exactly the same story. Now, Ziggy says he's got a good memory, and he's the kind of person who remembers kind of events and details, and that's why he remembers the details of the afternoon of June 15th, and he's 100% sure about them. And I want to believe him. I want to believe that this is what he saw. So what did he see? Well, he saw a truck. The only thing he can't remember about these events is the make of that truck. I guess he wasn't paying attention to it too much. So he was out there, right, doing his car thing. This truck went by him. And he said that sometimes, someone will come down Ben Hill Road, and because it's a narrow road, I don't know, they've took a wrong turn or blah, blah, blah. They'll go down to the bottom, where that gate is, where you can turn round. They'll go down to there and turn round. So he didn't think anything of it when this truck passed him. But then another car went by. Now, I think this is the silver one, went by. And they didn't come out. The truck was being driven by a male, and the other car was being driven by a young female. So are these two starstruck lovers, they're going for a bunk up in the woods? Quite possibly that's all it is, right? Quite possibly that's all it is. And that's why they didn't come back for a while. Anyway, Andy turns up. Now, he knows Andy. Andy is his cousin. Confirmed is his cousin. Close cousin. Right? Both related through Ben Hill, the guy who gave his name to the road. I've gone through all the genealogy again 2 days ago. If you're unclear, please go and watch that video. I tried to make it as clear as possible. But Ben Hill is Andy's great-granddaddy. And Ben Hill is Fred's granddaddy. It makes them first cousins once removed. He knows what Andy looks like. He knows the car that Andy drives. And he said between 3 and 3:30, Andy drove past him. But then the weird thing was, once Andy turned up, these two vehicles then all passed him and they all left Ben Hill Road together. This is around the time that Summer and Candice and Grandma would have got home. Does it have anything to do with the disappearance of Summer? Maybe. But would it take 3 people in 3 vehicles to abduct a 5-year-old girl? It's just weird. It's something that Fred noticed. I don't know. Why was these 2 strange vehicles there? I don't know, starstruck lovers, I would say. That would be my first guess. Why was Andy there? Did they meet him there for something? Who knows? What does make it strange, though, is that Jodie Sue has said Andy was on camera at work all day. But then she's contradicted herself because she says Andy wasn't at work all day.
Like I've told y'all long before, that earring was dropped on purpose. That's why they shook the floorboard and hit him in a meltdown. And I guarantee, honestly, when Summer disappeared, that's the reason he got so fucking crazy. And more things about the past few days. It's probably because when the Fed showed up, especially at work, he'd been lying to me because that day she disappeared. He was supposed to be running late, right? Working over. Guarantee he wasn't. So he knew, tick, 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 time was coming. Cops knew he wasn't, whatever. And he was next door, and truth coming. I mean, all kinds of things precipitated this shit, but I promise you for months. And what's weird is, like, he was abusing me that psychotically during the day, but then he was even acting weird for me. Like, at night, for those last few nights, it was, will you hold me? And a tone I'd never really heard before. I want me to hold him after fucking doing me that way every day. And a weird, like, baby tone. Like, man, this ain't done. If his fucking system thinks this is done, you let me know. I've been telling you. I've been fucking telling you.
But, you know, she says that Andy's got nothing to do with the disappearance of Summer, so Andy will have been investigated. Does Andy have an alibi for the entire day? Is the alibi trustworthy? Don't know. But Fred swears down that he saw Andy on Ben Hill Road on that day. Make of that what you will. Is it anything at all to do with the disappearance of Summer? We don't know. Are either of these other 2 vehicles anything to do with the disappearance of Summer? Don't know. TBI knows all about this, so it's up to them to do their thing and investigate, isn't it, guys? Fred Hill has doubled down on the prostitution ring. He mentioned somebody called Andy Paul. This name came up in January. Who is this Andy Paul? I can't find out who he is. Is his surname Paul, or is his name Andy Paul and then he's got a surname? So if anybody knows, like 100% who this Andy Paul is, let me know so I can check him out. He also doubled down that Candice was pregnant in the months before Summer's disappearance. And she had a baby, she had a daughter. It's one of the things that I didn't believe from the January conversation, because people have said that she had her tubes tied after Summer. It's rare, but it is possible to get pregnant after you've had your tubes tied. If the operation wasn't successful, it does happen, it has happened. Or is the story of her having her tubes tied not true? How would we know for sure? We've not seen Candice's medical records, have we? There's no way we could find out. You know, HIPAA laws and stuff. We can't find out anything to do with Candice's medical records, quite rightly. We shouldn't know that stuff. It's just something that was said. And he said he knows for sure she was pregnant. He went to... it was around the time he saw Andy Jr., Jodie Sue and Andy's son in the pool with Summer. And Candice was there. He went to pick up this truck of Don's. Candice was there. She was clearly pregnant. And then people are now saying, well, she was a lot heavier. You know, July, she was a lot heavier. Is that baby weight that she's now lost? Possibly. How would we know? How would we find that out? We can't. We can't. All we can say is, she gave up her daughter for adoption when she lived in Arkansas, I think it was. She gave up 2 children to the CPS when she was young. So it's something she does. But I'm not sure why she'd want to do it when she's older and she's stable and she's married. Maybe she didn't want another kid, I don't know. You tell me. No. This is what she's like. Fool. I'm giving Fred the time of day because he's there as a witness, like I gave Jodie Sue the time of day. You know, if somebody's going to come out and talk, then listen. Open your ears and listen, because they might well be telling you the truth. Now, if evidence comes forward that they're clearly not, well, there you go. That's discounted that information. You know, the thing about listening is listen, take it all in, but be neutral about it. And then, you know, if there's evidence to support it, well, that makes that piece of information stronger. But be open-minded. Don't just believe it. Look at all the evidence that discounts it. That's the difference between believing everything you see and hear and doing a proper investigation on that piece of information, doing your due diligence to see whether you can confirm, deny, refute, support that information. And sometimes unlikely pieces of information turn out to be true, and totally believable pieces of information turn out not to be. That's the way the cookie crumbles. So another thing that I wasn't going to talk about, but loads of people are talking about it. People have asked me about it, asked my opinion on it. So yeah, I'll quickly give it some airtime. So I think it was JLR who spoke to a woman who works at the horse stables, which is close to the swimming hole where Summer was splashing and paddling around with H on June 15th. And this woman says that the truck was there all day, or most of the day. I think most of the day was the word she used. So this blows the timeline out of the water. So this has taken some people into a tailspin. You know, the people who think that something horrible happened at the swimming hole and everything else is a lie. Well, again, it's about not believing this information just because it fits your theory, but taking that information, listening to it, considering it, and looking at evidence to refute it. Well, they weren't there all day, because according to Chris McDonough, the prescription at Walgreens was picked up at 1:33. Is Chris McDonough lying? No reason for Chris to lie about that piece of information. It would mean that everybody that day is lying, that H wasn't dropped off between 2 and 2:30, that H didn't have alibis for later in the day. You know, didn't he go and see his girlfriend? There's also talk of him having a doctor's appointment later that afternoon. If H was taken home between 2 and 2:30, that fits with the prescription at 1:33 at Walgreens. We know from the metadata of the swimming hole video that it was posted at 12:30. I've forgotten. I've even got the metadata. I did a video about it. Just after 12:30, it was posted. So they were there then, presuming Candus actually posted it as soon as she'd made it. How long they were there? Well, they've said 20 minutes. They're probably longer than 20 minutes. But They certainly weren't there most of the day. I'm really only interested in what happened after they got home. I'm not really interested in how long they were at the swimming hole or the precise time that Hunter was dropped off. I'm not really interested in that, because the key timeline is what happened when they got home. Those 3 hours that need to be accounted for. You know, nobody seemed to have saw Candus, Summer and Grandma getting home. Hypervigilant Jodie Sue doesn't appear to have seen them. Fred Hill doesn't appear to have seen them. Fred Hill wouldn't have seen them because he's further down the holler. Like 165 and 167, where him and his mother lived, they're further down the holler. Fred wouldn't have known they'd got home. He'd only know if they went down the holler. Oh, and another thing Fred said is that Andy was seen on camera on Ben Hill Road, because there's surveillance down Ben Hill Road. I've talked about that before. Again, could be absolutely nothing to do with the disappearance of Summer. It could be completely other reason why Andy was on Ben Hill Road between 3 and 3:30. Allegedly on camera. And again, the close relatives, there's no way that Fred could have mistaken him. It's his first cousin, once removed. He knows him. He's known him all his life. Genealogy, it is really important. Really important. Go and watch the video that I made 2 days ago. It shows that not only are Fred Hill and Andy very closely related, Frank Light is also closely related. I think he's Andy's second cousin twice removed. Shares a little bit less DNA than Fred does with Andy, but still it's a close relationship. I've got a cousin who lives just up yonder there. She's got kids. So my kids and her kids are second cousins. And she lives just up there. It's a close relationship. Right, lots of people know their second cousins. I grew up with my cousins. 2 of them have had kids. I grew up with them. I saw them a lot, lived around the corner from them, went camping with them, like loads of times a year. So when they have kids and I have kids, those kids know each other. Now, in this local area, I've got loads of like distant cousins, loads of them. I'll have loads of them over my granddad's side. I've even got some of them in this village that I've only found after doing my family tree. Like my childhood friend is my distant cousin. I think it turns out she's like my 5th cousin. There's people I went to school with who were in my class at school. Turns out that they're 3rd cousins or 4th cousins or 5th cousins, and you don't know, because the more distant that relationship becomes, the less likely the generations are to really remember, because, you know, people lose touch. So when you get more distantly related, or you get people kind of moving away from the immediate vicinity, people just lose touch. But when it's a close relationship, like a first or a second cousin, and they live in that local area, and they've lived in that local area all their life, and you know where they live, you know their land, you know stuff about them, that's not a distant relationship at all. Either in proximity or in blood. I'm going to call it a day. It's a lot to take in. Most of it, though, needs really careful consideration. Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see until you can absolutely 100% confirm it, and even then remain sceptical. Bye for now, guys. Goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer. Hello. Hello.